Well, Kamala Harris addressed that in an extraordinary statement.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Hold on. Talk about clutching at straws. The left is always eager to jump to Hitler comparisons because they know their actual policies can't compete on substance. It's easier to demonize Trump than it is to acknowledge his policies that directly benefit Americans. This tactic reeks of desperation, and that's just the Biden-Harris administration.
All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is, from the people who know him best, from the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room.
And in bygone years, that kind of intervention might well have met the criteria for a seismic October news event with the power to move a needle in a dead heat. But not anymore. Trump has taken so much incoming fire, in some cases quite literally. He's starting to look a bit like Superman. Bullets are rebounding off his chest like ping pong balls.
Right on, Piers. Trump's resilience against constant attacks only strengthens his base. The left can throw all the mud they want, but when you're genuinely fighting for the people, it's tough for any of these weak narratives to stick. He's proven his toughness by taking all the hits and is still standing strong.
That's because the market for shocking claims about Donald Trump is pretty saturated. Once you've been called the new Hitler again and again, well, the rest kind of doesn't touch the sides. I thought this was really smart politics by Trump. And actually what the Democrats should have done was just very quickly move on and find something better to talk about rather than looking like they think this is somehow all rather demeaning, because that's not how regular Americans would have seen it. Discuss.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I spoke about this 5 minutes on Monday and I've moved on. So I agree with you. I mean, I'm only talking about it now because you brought it up. I don't think it was as brilliant as maybe you're suggesting. You know, they closed down a store and hurt that store financially on that day in terms of sales. And Trump at the end of the day saw it as something to help him. If he had gone there, well, hold on a second. I'm one sentence in. If he had gone there and said, I put on the apron, I did the fry-o-later, and now I recognize that a $7.25 minimum wage, which has been the same almost 20 years, isn't going to cut it. That would have been really interesting and shown he cares about someone other than himself. Instead, it was about rehearsed drive-through and wearing the apron and
see,
pretending
David, here's
to
the
know what's
problem.
going
I'm going to
on.
jump
And
in
it's Kamala
you
Harris
are
who
doing,
said,
are
I
you
support
familiar?
a $15 an hour minimum
David,
wage.
are you familiar with the phrase clutching at straws? I hope that
I'm sorry, you glitched. What's the phrase?
Does the phrase clutching at straws cross the pond in a way that you understand?
Piers, you brought this topic up.
No, what I'm saying is,
other than
you saying the only
lead.
way it could work would be if Trump banged on about the minimum wage. You're missing the point. I mean, let me bring in, I'll bring back Kevin here because you're a business guy, you're an entrepreneur. Just as a pure bit of political theatre, I thought he was genius. Utter genius. Honestly, I did.
I mean, most of this material is seen in 15, 30, 45-second visual bites. And I think for him, it worked. I mean, yeah, people are talking about the fact that Secret Service had to check out the people in the car that took the bag. But I don't think the majority of people that watch that on TikTok or Instagram give a damn. And I think these things are viral for about 30 hours. My team monitors all this stuff because we're involved in the same kind of social media for many companies. And it really worked. It got a tremendous amount of views. And so it's already burned off and we're on to the next thing. But Trump has become masterful at mastering the art of holding on to viral videos for longer than almost anybody else. And some of the things he says are outrageous, and people have known him now for close to 9 years. And if you hate him, you hate him. It just doesn't matter at this point.
Trump talks about this a lot. He says, you know, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. She's sworn into when she swore into the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view is, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
I mean, David, that's pretty devastating when you hear that for Kamala Harris, isn't it? They all think she's a bit of a phony. who's basically using them as a community.
Those two people did say that, but if you look at any public opinion survey, this is not ranking anywhere. And there still seems to be confusion about the concept of being biracial. But no, I don't think that's really devastating at all. And in fact, I think that, I don't know what interviews Brandon's been watching, but she just did an interview yesterday with NBC where she was almost goaded by the interviewer. Why aren't you talking about being a woman and being Black? And she said, people can tell what my identity is. I'm running on policy, and then people can judge the identity however they want. She's stepped away from identity politics, which I think is fantastic, by the way.
David, let me ask you this.
Politics as a cudgel.
David, let me ask you this. One of the things she stands for, along with Joe Biden, is she has done nothing while they've been in office to stem this, in my view, horrendously unfair situation of trans athletes competing in women's sport. And an astonishing survey has just come out today by the United Nations that reveals that female athletes have lost 900 medals to transgender rivals competing against them in women's sporting categories.
This is a hard truth that the left keeps trying to ignore. Americans believe in fairness, and the overwhelming majority agree that women's sports should be for women. The loss of medals and opportunities for women because of the unfair policies is simply unacceptable. Pakman's reluctance to address this issue only underscores the left's blind spot on basic fairness.
This is a UN report. That's 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost nearly 900 medals in 29 different sports. When the average American sees that both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now support this unfairness, and that's what it is. It's just unfair. It's nothing to do with being transphobic or anything else. It's just unfair. And when it's supported by a report like that from the UN, that's one of her problems too, is that people think they're supporting the indefensible. They lack basic common sense. What do you say to that?
I'm struggling to think that you're taking this any more seriously than as something that might generate clicks on YouTube, Piers.
Wow, you don't think that's serious?
Hold on, Piers, I can't even get a sentence out.
What, you don't think it's serious?
Hold on a second. The vast majority of those instances in the UN report are outside the United States and have nothing to do with the president or vice president of the United States at its face. And secondly, I would challenge you to tell me the quotes that Biden or Harris have put forward wherein they have weighed in on how sports leagues should be handling these decisions. But 92% of that study is not even in the U.S. So I don't even know why you're bringing this up other than
what's
to
that got to
generate
do with
clicks
the
on
principle
YouTube.
of the principle?
I'm sorry?
What's that got to do with the principle?
Well, the principle is you're saying Kamala Harris and Biden have come out in support of this.
They do. They support policies which actively protect. They support policies that protect transgender athletes performing in women's sport. And I think that is madness. You're saying, well, because most of these things in this UN report were outside of America, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
What I'm saying, it's a completely contrived issue that almost no one cares about in every single opinion poll.
Wow. You see, I think that's incredibly deluded. People do care about it.
I think that it depends on the sport, and I think we need to talk about this for probably 90 minutes to really have a productive conversation.
Really? So when you saw the Paris Olympics and you saw 2 gold medal winners in women's boxing who actually were born with biological male chromosomes, you think that's right?
That is not the truth as far as I understand it.
Really?
I don't know who you're talking about. If you can name them, then maybe we can get into more detail.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. It was well publicized.
Well, tell me. Tell me who you're talking about.
I can't remember their exact names. There were 2 gold medal winners. Well, I can find them now if it helps you. I don't know why the names matter.
The one who was the source of a lot of viral articles was born a woman, always lived as a woman, always competed as a woman. I'm sorry?
What was her name?
Imani something.
All right, so you don't know either. So don't be quite so patronizing if you don't know either. But the truth is...
Well, you're bringing it up, Piers. See, here's the thing. Hold on a second, Piers. Hold on a second. You do this all the time, Piers. You bring something up. And then you evaluate your guest's opinion as to how much it matters. You brought it up. If it doesn't actually matter, don't bring it up.
No, just to be clear, you were haranguing me for not remembering the name. I said the name's irrelevant. What's relevant is whether the gold medal winners have biological male chromosomes when they're getting into
My
a boxing
understanding
ring
is they do not.
and punching women in the face so hard that one of the women competitors, a female, quit after 45 seconds.
Yes,
because she'd
in
never
that
been hit that
instance,
hard.
there is nothing to the story that the boxer that prevailed was ever a man.
Wow.
Just nothing.
And yet you know
Nothing.
that they...
There's no evidence
you
of
know
it.
That,
It was
you
a
know that
viral
boxer,
right-wing
well, hang
story
on.
based on nothing.
Hang on. You know that boxer was banned from the World Championships precisely because there is evidence. You know that, right?
Yes. Do you know the details of that, Piers? Do you know? Tell the full story. Go ahead. Tell the full story.
That boxer was banned, along with the other one, from the World Championships because it has been reported that they tested positive for male chromosomes, right?
Here's the real issue. The left wants to rewrite biology and expects everyone else to go along with it. Pakman can dodge the specifics, but science and common sense are on Piers' side. There are undeniable biological differences, and pretending otherwise is not progress. It's a distortion of reality that hurts female athletes.
Do you know better?
Yeah.
Tell me.
That's not the full. I do know better, and I will tell you. That was done by a Russian lab who had an interest in disqualifying her because it jeopardized the undefeated record of a Russian boxer. It's just, that's all they have, and it's totally debunked. Piers, I thought you were better than this.
It's not debunked, and you'll regret saying that because it's true.
Love to hear your guys' opinion down in the comments of whether or not you agree with what was argued within this video. I always like to hear other people's opinion. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.